All right, what is going on, folks? Anthony Fantano, Theneedledrop. The dude's pretty polarizing. He basically has a monopoly on YouTube when it comes to music reviews, whether you believe it or not. Now, don't get me wrong, below him is a ton of other reactors and music reviewers, but none of them have as much of a following as Anthony. And I look at people like No Life Shaq as more of reactors to music than an actual written out kind of essay on their feelings on an album or music piece. So anyway, I won't bore you guys too much with the whole background of things. Essentially, there's a few specific reviews that are pretty mainstream, like his To Pimp a Butterfly review, which when he wears the yellow flannel, that shit's a 10 out of 10. Or albums like The Big Day, Chance the Rapper, which he just shit on. And he's got the red flannel. That is usually like the worst review from him. So anyway, this all leads up to Anthony's latest review of Kanye West's album Vultures, which is titled Unreviewable 1. And let's just say by the likes and dislikes, it's a pretty divisive review.
This is completely unreviewable trash, and here's why. Question: what is even the purpose of a music review in the first place? I can say, at least in terms of my own intent, that when I do a music review, I hope to achieve a couple of things. One, give the viewer pause and cause them to think about why it is they do or don't like the piece of music or art that I'm doing an overview of.
Okay, so I like this point. You know, if you're a fan of this album, you're going to try to be unbiased and listen to Anthony's points on the album. Maybe it'll bring some nuance to how you feel about the album. Maybe he points out some things that you're like, oh, maybe I'll go back and listen to this song that I didn't like and see why Anthony likes it. Or the opposite. Maybe you dislike an album, he says some good things, mentions some sonic and some lyrical moments in an album, you go back and you're like, wow, didn't even realize that. That's really cool. I like this now.
Or two, excite people to give the music that I'm talking about a try. Those are the two things I want.
And I like that too, because this is why I watch channels like this. Sometimes there's some new music that's introduced that I didn't even know about, and it pushes the culture forward.
Neither of those goals are possible in any scenario that involves reviewing this album. Newsflash, since 2022, Kanye has made it his mission to go full-on anti-Semite, spouting insane conspiracy theories, talking about how he loves Hitler, and at some point, I think he realized how much he fucked up with all of that, so now he has to own this total dumpster fire he's created and boast about how people think he's anti-Semitic now, because yeah, they do. Even if he does genuinely apologize and change his behavior past this point.
Okay, so now we're getting into Kanye as a person. Sometimes it's fun to see what they're up to. I don't really care for celebrities' opinions on politics, or I'd probably hate a majority of them. This is why I just try to humor the bullshit and just get into the music itself.
His public image is forever altered by all of this. I mean, you platformed a booger-eating white supremacist and have guys like this repping for you on a highway overpass.
Yeah, the Kanye meat riders are cringe. This whole parasocial thing people have with their favorite artist is kind of cringe.
He spent this same period of time pushing away anybody who could possibly do that at this point, especially his wife, who he has now replaced with somebody who he just like kind of parades around like she's a naked body with no personality, opinion, or voice. Something that on some level I think he's weirdly proud of, as on the very lyrics to this record, he calls her just a reference, which is maybe one of the grossest and most dehumanizing things Kanye has said about a woman on any of his songs, and it's being directed at his wife. So this trajectory Kanye has been on as of late has left him with an interesting mix of fans. One, hateful psychos that actually agree with some of the stuff that he's been saying and are actually in my Twitter mentions theorizing that I'm a Jew, and that's the reason I don't really like his recent music.
Yeah, there's this whole kind of ironic alt-right movement. I feel like most of them are trolls, but they're always like, praise Allah, that's haram, Kanye's a genius, etc.
Two, anonymous nihilistic teenagers that don't really think anything he says or does has any greater consequence in the world, and are most likely bored and lonely and will just defend Kanye because watching him unravel is more entertaining than most things.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle with this one. I do think Kanye has influence, so some of the anti-Semitic and weird racist remarks that he makes are definitely going to have an impact on his fan base, but at the end of the day, stupid people are going to be sheep. I'm not about that, so his views are really harmless on a fan base like me.
And I guess bring some kind of meaning to their otherwise meaningless lives. And three, culture cultish weirdos who parasocially obsess over him and everything he does, and would basically follow him to the ends of the earth. Keep in mind, these individuals have always been in his fan base to some degree, but prior they were at least mixed in with genuine hip-hop heads. Now, these three types of people, and there is overlap between them in Kanye's fan base, don't want to hear anything critical about him at all, ever. They've openly rejected any good faith effort I've made to make them aware of Kanye's downward spiral into Nazi-adjacent rhetoric and now imagery in the promotion of this record. The point is, there's no hope of having any level-headed conversation with somebody who is like deep into the Kanye fandom at this point. People who literally think anything and everything he does is great and will write off any bit of dissent as just being biased and unfair to him.
Where the fuck is the review at? There's all this banter about the fan base and stuff. This should be on a separate video. I don't know what the hell this has to do with reviewing the album. This doesn't add any context to the music. Like, this is so fucking pointless. But continue, Anthony. Continue bitching.
So yeah, there's no convincing them, which I will say is also the case for people who have left the Kanye reservation over the past several years, because there are a fair share of people who are validly pissed off about everything Kanye's been saying and doing recently and feel like it's totally beyond the pale. And even if this record was somehow good, what am I supposed to do? Tell the Jews in my audience, "Aw, come on, man, he didn't mean it. It's not so bad. He's just a little crazy, that's all." Especially since he's not doing anything to gain forgiveness. He is very apparently not sorry for anything he's been saying or doing. And the apologies he has given aren't worth a lick of shit, because he'll think nothing of saying Jesus Christ, Hitler, yay, sponsor that, not too long after.
Okay, so this album, Vultures, there's some decent tracks on it. It feels like people are there for the features more nowadays than they are for Kanye. If I'm gonna be honest, I like some of the features more than I even like Kanye himself on the album. I mean, there was the part where he's like, "Beautiful big titty but naked women don't so fall at the sky, you know." That was probably the highlight for me with Kanye's verses. But like, if I was reviewing this album, you know, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 10. And that's what I'm waiting for.
People who will say, "Anthony, you're being unfair here. Separate the art from the artist. Come on now. You can't separate this crap from the music because it's in the music. Look at the lyrics. Read these words. They have meaning and they are saying things that are not good or normal. You would have to expect me to separate my brain from my skull."
So right there, that's a critique you could make in the lyrics if you were actually reviewing this album. And we're still not really getting to the point where he's breaking down each track. He's still going on about Kanye racist.
We don't care as long as the album is good. His personality and what he says doesn't matter to me. I only care about the music. How do you penetrate this level of self-imposed ignorance? This person is not listening to Kanye. He's not listening to anything I or anyone has to say about Kanye. And this comment was posted after the album was released, so he's apparently not even listening to the content of the music that he supposedly cares so much about. So this argument about, "I only care about the music," can't possibly be true, especially since the music too is shit. The song Paid is one of the most unintentionally hilarious tracks I think Kanye has ever put out. It's just a crappier version of Fade. Why wouldn't you just listen to Fade? You'd have to be delusional to think anything else, especially with this trash-ass verse from Ye, and Ty Dolla $ign on it is just amazing, saying that he's just here to get paid. Then Back to Me with that Jay and Silent Bob chorus has to be one of the dumbest things I've heard on any Kanye album ever. I feel like I'm being punked. But naked, beautiful, big titty bitches don't just fly into the sky, you know. At least Freddie Gibbs somehow made it flow, but yeah, that dude is as good as he is at rapping. He cannot save this track. Then Hood Rat has maybe one of the most excruciatingly bad instrumentals on any Kanye album.
Okay, so he's starting to review it. This is what we wanted.
The mix is a mess, and God, those repetitions of Hood Rat, Hood Rat, Hood Rat, Hood Rat. I mean, I guess it kind of drowns out all the other stuff about the track, so that's kind of a silver lining. But almost none of that matters because there is so little to praise with this record. And if Kanye's delusional fans are not hearing that this record is awful on its face as they just kind of listen to it by themselves, nothing I'm going to say is going to convince them. But if you really want a general assessment of this thing, it sounds like a slightly more finished Donda 2. Somehow Jesus is King had more songs on it that sounded more cohesive, well put together. which is saying something because
I mean, I mainly agree. I would say this album is probably just as good as Donda 2.
given that the sequel tends to be a step down from the original in Kanye's case most of the time, the rest of the Vultures series from this point is not looking good. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
See, this is the thing that pisses me off is the needle drop. 6ix9ine review, 6ix9ine review, 6ix9ine review. Let's go to 6ix9ine's Wikipedia. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Hernandez was involved in a child S performance charge from 2015. Hernandez pled guilty to a felony count of use of a child in a S performance. He had physical contact with a 13-year-old and later distributed videos of the incident online as part of a music video. Lovely guy. September 2019, Hernandez admitted to years of domestic V and a cooperation agreement. 2023, 6ix9ine was arrested in Dominican Republic on suspicion of A-ing two music producers. You don't see him grandstanding, unless it has to do with a specific and niche topic. XXX Tentacion. Let's scroll down, shall we? XXX ex-girlfriend Geneva Ayala accused him of domestic A in 2016. So I mean, I just fail to understand why he can't just review the goddamn album and shut up about the politics. Put it on a second channel. I don't know, man. I thought Vultures had some good moments. I really like the song Carnival. Paperwork was good. I mean, that's all I pretty much have to say. I think the album, like I said, was like a 4 out of 10. I just think it's douchey. Like, do your music review. This is why people are subscribed to you. And like I said before, if I had to go off the opinion and the actions of people in Hollywood, I'd probably stop watching movies. I'd probably stop listening to a lot of music. But anyway, let me know what you guys think and your thoughts on this whole situation. Fun fact of the day, Canada is actually south to Detroit. You can check it on Google Maps, and you guys know the drill. Ta-ta for now.